Hi guys, how are you doing today? Hey, hopefully you're okay. Welcome to this session. You know that I am very happy to be here with you. I would prefer to be with you face to face, but unfortunately we cannot do that because of the situation that not only Colombia but the world is going through. We need to continue with our virtual classes. Okay, let's go ahead and let's begin here with the introduction. We have here CLE Baranoa or Curso de Lenguas Extranjeras Baranoa, Henry Padilla Escorcia, first level. And today we're going to be talking about our routine, part 2. This video is most likely the continuation of previous video. You remember previous video where I explained the simple past. Remember affirmative as, negative do or does, don't, doesn't. And interrogative, do you, does she? Well, if you paid attention to the previous video and if previous video is completely clear, this one is gonna be much easier for you because it's basically the same. But you know, now we go to the practice. Previous one was most likely theory. This one is gonna be the practice. Okay, let's go ahead and let's begin with this example. It says, I visit my grandparents every Sunday. So pay attention to the pronunciation. Visit. I visit my grandparents every, not every, every. So the pronunciation, you eliminate the E and you say every Sunday. No Sunday, no Sunday, Sunday. So I visit my grandparents every Sunday. I have a question for you. If I say that, is that a routine or not? ¿Es una rutina or it's not? Let's think for a moment. Vamos a pensar un momento. I visit my grandparents every Sunday. Is that a routine or not? Of course it is. It is a routine. Why? Because it's something that is happening periodically. So it's repetition. It's happening over and over. So when we talk about repetition, we may say that repetition is synonym of routine because I'm doing that all the time. Siempre lo hago. Siempre hago lo mismo. So estoy repitiendo. When I'm repeating, I'm talking about a routine. Estoy hablando de una rutina. So, routines apparently are very easy. It's just mentioning things that we normally do, cosas que hacemos normalmente. So, no problem. Remember that as I was saying before, the only verb is not the verb to be. We have so many verbs that we can conjugate in order to speak English or speak about any topic. But you need to take into account something that is really relevant about this specific topic. Let's take a look to these two sentences we have here. I take a bus at 7 a.m. Routine or no routine? Yes, it's a routine. Tomo el bus a las 7 de la mañana. Probably every day. Todos los días. Let's imagine. She take a bus at 7 a.m. every day. Guys, one of these two sentences is incorrect. Una de las dos está mala. Think for a moment. ¿Cuál de las dos está mala and why? Number one or number two? I take a bus at 7 a.m. She take a bus at 7 a.m. You are right. Second one is incorrect. She take a bus at 7 a.m. is incorrect. Why? Because you remember previous class, previous explanation about the topic. I told you affirmative, he, she, or it, you need to add s or es depending on the verb. So this sentence must be she takes. Terminan en e, le voy a agregar una s a he, she, or it. So she takes a bus at 7 a.m. So, conclusion. Is it easier my routine or someone else's routine? But before, let's go ahead and let's go to this reminder. Do you remember why? What I was mentioning before? Exactly. You need to take into account the rules. Remember, he, she, and it from previous class. The simple present or present simple. Siempre voy a agregarle una S o una ES a he, she, and it. Only for affirmative. Remember, never negative or interrogative. So now let's go back to the question. Which one is more difficult, my routine or someone else's routine? ¿Cuál es más difícil, mi rutina o la rutina de alguien? Yes, routine of another person requires more attention and concentration. Con mi rutina yo no debo colocar S. Why not? ¿Por qué no? Porque en mi rutina yo estoy utilizando I. I wake up, I dance, I play, I run, I walk, I work. ¿S o no S? No necesito la S. La S solamente aplica para he, she, or it. So, let's analyze this example together. What do you do every day? Hey, Henry, what do you do every day? Okay, yes, sure. I wake up at 5 a.m. I have breakfast at 7. I go to school at 7:30. I have break at 10. I have lunch at 12. I do my homework at 3. I watch TV at 8. I listen to music at 9. I go to sleep at 10. So, easy or difficult? Change or no change? ¿Estos verbos requieren algún cambio or not? No requieren ningún cambio. ¿Por qué? Porque estoy utilizando I. I no requiere ningún cambio. Se queda completamente igual. So, super easy. No problem. By the way, every time that you are saying the time, la hora siempre va con at. I wake up at, a las 5, at, a las 7, at, a las 7:30, at. So, do not forget that. You need to learn it by heart, aprendérselo de memoria. La hora always uses at. But now let's take a different example. What does Kim do every day? Why does? Okay, you remember why does? Yes, because we are talking about she, so remember auxiliar does. Ahora, este verbo do, ¿por qué se queda igual y no cambia a does? You remember? You don't remember? If you don't remember, negative point. If you remember, positive point. Yes, you're right, because it's a question, es una pregunta. Recuerden que en las preguntas los verbos no cambian. Y este do que está acá es el verbo, mientras que este does que aparece acá es el auxiliar. So please keep it in mind because it's really, really important. Okay, she wakes, you see, la S inmediatamente because it's she. She wakes up at 4. She has, no have, has, porque las terceras personas have es has. Breakfast at 5. She goes. ¿Por qué ES? Porque termina en O, es afirmativa y es la tercera persona she. So you see, you need to analyze everything. She goes to work at 5:30. She takes, miren la S, she takes a break at 10:30. She has lunch at 12:30. She gets home at 5 o'clock. She plays with her children at 7 o'clock. She helps her children with the homework at 8 o'clock. She goes to bed at 10 o'clock. Todo lo que sea about she y que sea afirmativo debe colocársele la S o la ES dependiendo del verbo. Do not forget that. If you forget that, it's gonna be a disaster. It's gonna be incorrect, okay? So do not forget it. Now, when we are talking about the routine, we have some friends. They are called adverbs of frequency, los adverbios de frecuencia. So let's practice the pronunciation. We have always, repeat, always, often, often, usually, usually, sometimes, sometimes, not often, not often, never, never. Okay, very good. When we are talking about possibilities, we have always is 100%, often 80%, usually 60%, sometimes 40%, not often 10%, never 0%, no possibility. So the adverbs of frequency, most likely they are always with the simple present. Ellos están conectados al presente simple. And something that you need to know about them is that the adverbs of frequency always go before the verb, with the exception of the verb to be. A excepción del verbo to be, el adverbio de frecuencia siempre va a ir antes del verbo. For example, I always, oh sorry, it says always. I always listen to English music. Listen before. But we have now the verb to be. I am always happy. Aquí el verbo era listen, el adverbio va antes. Aquí el verbo es el verbo to be, el adverbio va después. Siempre va antes con la excepción del verbo to be. So, I always listen to English music. I am always happy. The most common question where you need to use the adverb of frequency, la pregunta que exige un adverbio de frecuencia siempre es how often. How often do you play soccer? ¿Con qué frecuencia juegan fútbol? How often do you play soccer? So this person answers, I usually play soccer. You see, question with how often, I need a adverb of frequency. I need an adverb of frequency. How often does she play the piano? She never plays the piano. Again, why S? Because it's she. So pay attention to this question. How often? Every time that you have how often, it's because it's the question that is asking you for frequency. Frequency. Deben dar frecuencia. Frequency. Cada cuánto lo hacen. ¿Con qué frecuencia lo hacen? So, how often do you study English? I always study English, or I never study English. So we're going to be practicing on some speaking activities later on. So be attentive because I may call you like on a video call or on a phone call, and I may ask you like, hey, how often do you use your computer? I always use my computer. I never use my computer. Or questions about your family. For example, how often does your brother does? Why does? Because your brother is he. So the question has to change. How often does your brother play soccer? You may say like, he always plays. You see, now it's an S. Soccer. He always plays soccer. Why plays? Because now is he. So the third person. So you need to be attentive with that. We're going to continue working on that. I'm going to give you some extra exercises so that you can practice that, okay? Okay, guys, it's been a real pleasure for me. Let me thank you very much for your attention. Any question, any problem, if you have any question, just please let me know and I'll be more than glad to help you with that. Okay, guys, thank you very much for your attention. Have a great day. Goodbye.